waving people in with one hand. At the other hand, we see the TSA is expanding rapidly. There's a new article out today, NSA whistleblowers, government spying on every single American. We're going to get into that. Also, the TSA expands invasion to California train stations and bus terminals. They are not slowing down as they ramp up their assault on soft targets, as they call them, vulnerable targets, and it is getting out of control. Also, today, the United Nations Arms Treaty takes shape, rising alarm among gun right advocates. And this is a story from Fox News that gets into, I'll just read it. It says, the Arms Trade Treaty is being hammered out by the United Nations is nearing completion, and the current draft shows it could lead to perpetual attacks on the U.S. Constitution, Second Amendment, and American foreign policy, critics says. And it goes on to state that it will take away the gun rights of Americans, and it will infringe upon the Second Amendment, and that the U.S. Senate is getting closer to having the majority to push this through. And, you know, this is something that people we've been talking about this, you know, ongoing. And after this shooting in Colorado, we see many people like Mayor Bloomberg, Michael Moore, Pierce Morgan, some celebrities and entertainers all saying, you know, we need to hand in our guns. And then there's other, you know, stricter gun laws. And then there's the other crowd, the people who understand, you know, what is right and our Second Amendment rights. And they're saying, you know, the reason we have guns is to protect ourselves against tyrants, tyrannical governments that are out of control. And that it's not for hunting, it's not for target practice, it's for the exact purpose. So why are we going to give our guns to a tyrannical government when the reason we have them is to protect ourselves from them? But with that, I'm going to take a call because I see a familiar number here. I think this is Patriot John of Braveheart Radio. John, you there?
Hey, how you doing, Joe?
Doing good. How are you?
I'm all right. I'm calling in tonight. My girlfriend does her banking at First National Bank of Pennsylvania, which I'm sure you and local listeners are familiar with. I'm just going to read part of it here. Dear customer, in order to continue offering convenient service to our growing client base, First National Bank of Pennsylvania routinely analyzes its existing branch locations. To improve the efficiency of our service network and to provide you with improved amenities, expanded parking, and expanded hours, we have decided to permanently close our Conneautville office located on Main Street. I'm not going to give the address. On Main Street in Conneautville, PA, at 4 p.m. on Friday, November 9th, 2012. And transfer the accounts from this office into First National Bank's Vernon Township office located in Meadville. Joe, I'm sure you realize First National Bank is probably the region's largest bank. Would you agree with that?
I'm not sure anymore, but yes, I know it has been around for a long time, and it is around. It seems we have a number of banks specific banks that are everywhere, but I'm not a customer of First National, but I know that they are, you know, all around our area.
Why do you suppose a very large bank like First National would suddenly decide to start closing branch offices? Why would that happen?
Well, you know, probably to save money. They are hemorrhaging money with these toxic derivatives that all the banks are involved with, and it's just the debt's out of control. The people can't afford to stay in business. Maybe it's, you know, Obamacare. There are a number of reasons, but you know, one of the main ones is it takes a resource for people to get cash. I mean, one less bank in the community is less, you know, business and per se for the bank as a whole. And you know, downsizing sometimes is the answer that they say, but you know, there could be a number of agendas behind what they're doing.
Exactly. I mean, when a company, when any given company is in trouble, the first thing they start talking about is downsizing.
Correct. And did you see today on, I think it was on Drudge, that there was Citibank was talking about the bank should be broken up. I'm looking for the article right now. City Creator says banks should be broken up, and that is a headline on the top of Drudge. Former CEO of Citibank, Wheelie, says banks should be broken up, and conglomerates a decade before the financial crisis said it's time to break up the largest banks to avoid more bailouts. Maybe one of the smartest things I've seen a banker say in a long time.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, what do you think the purpose is for them closing the branch in your area?
Well, exactly what we both have said is they're downsizing. They're in trouble, and they're downsizing.
Yeah.
They're just trying to do it without creating any undue alarm and, placating the customers, saying that, this is to make everything better. We're gonna offer better service and all of that happy stuff. But what is curious to me is the bank branch in question is one of only two in my area of where I live.
Yeah.
I live in a very small rural area, and there's two banks within 10 miles.
Yeah.
And one of them is now closing.
Yeah, I know. I'm familiar with your area. It is very country, very rural, and to lose one of two banks in that, a 10-mile area down there, that's important. I can see how that can affect businesses, and that means usually half the town's businesses and banking customers are at that bank or close to it, so they're going to have to change, banks accordingly, or drive the extra miles for the same banking.
I know the volunteer fire department in Conneautville uses that bank.
Okay.
And I'm not, and certainly they're not the only quote unquote business customer. But it's just awful weird. They're certainly going to lose customers over this move.
Yeah.
And apparently they would consider that to be an acceptable loss.
Yeah.
In order to, not to put too fine a point on it, but in order to keep their heads above water.
Yeah, and sometimes that is the cost of doing business when the economy is so bad. We have news tonight on the QE3. That's going to be starting next week. Also, Spain is, having huge protests and outcries right now. France is looking to have austerity cuts, and they say that Greece will go broke by August 20th. The world economy is in shambles right now. And on top of that, while I have you on the phone, I'm looking at this article from Fox News on the arms trade treaty, and it says it takes shape and it's rising among gun rights advocates. It says this document, which critics say has been framed by countries hostile to U.S. interests, allows for future amendments to be approved just by 2/3 of states showing up at an amendment conference. That means it could be agreed to by the U.S., put into effect, and then changed over Washington's objections. And even if the U.S. Senate refuses to ratify it, the deal could have a huge impact on the global arms trade, where the U.S. is the biggest player. And it goes on to talk about, how they could very easily get this passed through, if not by Senate ratification, then through executive decree.
Well, when you say 2/3 of the states, are you talking about our states or nation states?
Our states. For the Senate to ratify, they need 2/3 of the Senate approval to ratify the treaty.
Right, and I think I heard you say that there are reports that they're very close to that.
Yeah, right before the shooting in Colorado, I think there were 3 or 4 senators short. And after this shooting, it appears that they have maybe gained 1 or 2 senators.
Wow, what a surprise.
Yeah, they don't say it's concrete, but John Kerry said, we don't have to put it for a vote right away, but it is scheduled to go for a vote as early as Monday from what I'm hearing. And, that's pretty quick. And who knows, my problem with this, if they do ratify this, put into effect the Small Arms Treaty, the moment they go about trying to confiscate weapons will be the moment a civil war breaks out.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt in my mind. I'll be on the front lines. But, of course, you already know that about me.
It's just, it's crazy to see that our government is so criminal that it is willing to violate every, constitutional right we as American citizens have. At the same time, Janet Napolitano is openly inviting terrorists into the country by giving waivers on their visas, saying that we should even expect more members of designated foreign terrorist organizations to visit the United States in the future. And some people are saying it's a crime, especially Peter King. He says that the Obama administration violated the law in hosting Eldon, who was an Egyptian politician his name was Hani Noor Eldon, a member of Egyptian parliament. He was elected on the political party platform of the Islamic group, which the State Department has designated as a foreign terrorist organization. He was at the White House for a meeting, and this was okayed by the Department of Homeland Security. Yet, at the same time, they're expanding the TSA into the soft targets, the soft areas, as they say, all mass transportation, and the NSA has whistleblowers coming out today saying government is spying on every single American. And people say, well, how can they do that? Every single American. There's too many Americans, 3 million Americans and 200,000, people working for the government doing this. Well, it's called keyword search. It's called, tagging. They look for certain things. They look for, they have, these databases and the computer technologies and capabilities that the government has to monitor us are much more than we think. And
the technology involved here is unbelievably advanced. They can, they're as well as I do, without any wiretapping involved, they're listening to us right now.
Yeah,
so,
and this is one of these whistleblowers says domestically they're pulling together all the data about virtually every U.S. citizen in the country and assembling that information, building communities that you have relationships with and knowledge about you, what your activities are, what you are doing. So the government is accumulating that kind of information about every individual person, and it's a very dangerous process, Biney says. And they are doing it. There is no... We have too many reports of in the open and from whistleblowers as to what they are doing, and they're doing it. They're in every single person's. You have to know when you are sending an email, sending a text message on a phone, you are being monitored, or you should at least always think that you're being monitored, even though you might not be, but just in case, because you never know. Not that anybody has anything to hide, but certain business can be kept private if done correctly.
Well, I have long since given up worrying about whether I'm being monitored or not. I know I'm being monitored, and sooner or later they're going to find something on me and on everyone else that they're going to have to come in and try and take us away, and I invite them to do so.
Well, I wouldn't say go as far as invite them, but I know you're a squirrely guy. You like to rouse trouble, John. Is there anything else before I let you go? We got some other callers we're going to get to.
No, that's it. Great job. Keep it up, and I'll talk to you later.
All right. Thanks for the call.
Yep.
Always nice to hear from John. It's John, Patriot John of Braveheart Radio. His show is on 6 to 9 Saturday nights Eastern Time. I'm going to move on to another call here. Let's see who we got in queue. All right. We are going to...
This coming Friday, but have they pushed it off?
As far as the date is concerned, I'm not sure if they decided to push it back. I can find out right now. What they did plan was for the 27th, for the vote, I'm pretty sure. And I remember seeing that written in a couple articles. But I know that they were uncertain after they had not the majority of votes that they expected that they were going to have. So let's see, I found a new article here on this, and let's see if it has a date. But anybody in the chat room, have you seen any dates current as to when they are going to try to vote on this, or if Obama is going to sign anything? Because I have heard nothing new, except that they might try to push it back, but there was no dates that I can remember. And if I do find that, I will let you know. Looking through sources on Fox News, the New York Times, and the Washington Post, I got this new phone with this new Android type phone, and it's pretty neat. I've been able to put all types of news organizations, apps on there: USA Today, Russia Today, like New York Times, Fox News, and it's really a treasure trove of information right at your fingertips. But I got in the chat room here, July 27th. Looks like they have not changed the day, but that looks to be the same. So I hope that answers your question. Is there anything else?
Well, the only thing was, not that I'm saying that it's funny, but it just seems strange that thing that happened in Colorado with the shooting.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
I mean, it just blows my mind that this close to a vote coming up that something like that would take place.
Yeah.
It just doesn't seem right. You know what I mean? It just does not seem right. And maybe I'm nuts, but I'm telling you, there's just something to it. I
agree 100%. Not only is there something wrong with the whole timing of the scenario, and now I'm joined by my co-host, and you're on the air now. I can hear you in the background there.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Now it's departing. How you doing?
Good. We have a caller on the line from West Virginia, and he was remarking on the timing of the shooting in Colorado to the vote on the Small Arms Treaty.
I was I don't mean to interrupt, and I'll let you finish, but I just want to let you know the reason I was late to the show was I was interviewing a law enforcement official close to the investigation about the involvement of a second party. But continue with your
Yeah, we just have a number of anomalies. One of the witnesses was interviewed by two different news stations, had two different names. He was also an actor and an aspiring actor and a model in Aurora, Colorado. Let me find his name if I can. Corbin Dates, or Corbin Dayton was his name. There was also the issue of the door in the back. First they said he kicked it in, then it came to be known it was impossible to kick that type of door in. Then they say somebody let him in. There's reports of the two shooters. There's the blood trail in the back. There's many anomalies that go with this story and that don't sit well. And somebody even pointed out on Facebook that some of the pictures of his face don't look the same. And it's so much. It's an overblow of information, whether disinformation or real information, but not important information. It's definitely not that. We're not getting the real hard facts. We're not getting. I mean, where are the pictures of his apartment? Where are the pictures of the families and covering the funerals? And where's the pictures of the evidence? And we're not seeing the stuff we would normally see in these situations.
Exactly right. Yeah. Well, that's all I had. I appreciate your all's time. You guys just keep up the good work. I look forward to listening to you all.
Thank you very much.
That's good.
Appreciate
good to know.
Call.
Good to know. Yeah, if you don't mind, I'll just kind of flow right into, kind of slip into the flow of the conversation here.
Yeah, why don't you make an announcement? I just read the email you got from overseas about a guest.
Yeah, really not an announcement. Folks, after August 5th, we're going to be joined by tomorrow. Well, let me start over again. Tamara Yona is with Israel National News, Israel National Radio, the largest radio station in the Middle East. And she'll be a guest the week of August 5th, I believe. And I told her, I said, look, we can adjust the timing of the program because when we start at 3 o'clock in the morning their time, and we end at 5. But she said, no, you know what? Let's do it live. And God bless her. But we don't have an exact date set up. But she's going to come on and tell us about what's taking place in Israel behind the scenes, and she's a very big supporter, proponent of our program, and a very good friend of ours, and a great friend of this show. And I've been on her show a number of times as well, and that's how I picked up my Arabic fan club show.
Yeah. Also, we have a guest lined up. His name is Joe Tampa. He has a channel on YouTube called Real News. It's like JSnips4, I think. We haven't figured out a date yet, and that's because I was lacking in that area. Sent a couple of communications back and forth, and he just wants a date. And like I said, he was a trader, I think, and he hosts a show, Real News.
Or a trader?
A stock trader, a money market guy.
Right.
I'm not sure how much. It's somebody I've been following his YouTube videos for a little bit, and he has a real interesting take on the economy and the fraud and manipulation in the metals markets and the commodities. So we're going to get him on as soon as we can too.
Good. Yeah. And there are a lot of other. We've had guests, people send in recommendations for guests, and we've had actually people asking to come on, and we'll bring them on. It's just a matter of, again, scheduling and timing. So that's good.
Okay. I sent you a couple things before the show here. I don't know if you got the email.
Well, since you're on the shooter, let me explain again. Explain my absence or my tardiness to the program.
Sure.
And what I was able to find out. I received an email earlier today from someone close to the investigation, and right now
when you say close, do you mean like somebody, first person?
Yes, a law enforcement officer who was actually. Was someone else on with us, or are you just breathing into the mic?
Oh, I'm sorry. I was moving around a little bit.
Yeah. No. I received an email from someone who was a family member of one of the first responders, or law enforcement, in Aurora, Colorado, and saying that, look, there's some things that aren't being said publicly, and that this person that sent me the email listens to our show. So through some dialogue throughout the day, finally this law enforcement officer said, okay, fine. Look, I'll talk to Doug, but it's going to have to be like completely anonymous, because there is a clampdown on information. Even that the various records are sealed. Court records are sealed right now. So anyway, to make a long story short, the only time that this gentleman could talk with me was to overlap a show, and he said, look, that there is sufficient evidence. Well, again, I want to be very careful with my wording here, because there are layers of knowledge and levels of knowledge, people who know things and who don't know other things, and saying the wrong thing could get someone in trouble and cost them their job. But the fact of the matter is, there was a second, allegedly, according to the source I spoke to, a second person involved, and perhaps a third person. And the third person, we'll get out of the way first, providing the technical expertise of the bombs and how to make the bombs, and even the source for the explosives. The second person was actually physically at the theater. If my source is correct, and I believe my source is correct, there was a second person either inside or outside of either inside of the theater or inside of the theater complex, but outside of the theater itself. And that person had a specific job to do. Now, I've been asked to hold on to any other information until my source is able to get some documentation together.
We are, I'm seeing in the chat room, some people are commenting, they say that they heard there was 3 people, possibly. But I haven't seen those reports.
I just said that.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
I just said there's the third person.
I'm reading it. I was responding to something in chat, so I must have missed that part.
Right. Well, no, that's fine. Again, a second person and perhaps a second shooter, and I'll go that far.
Yeah, and that's what we've
fact, there's a discussion that this Holmes may not even have been the actual shooter. Okay, now that's a real thing to say, but
yeah, and that matches with one theory I have, and these theories are nothing concrete. These are just ideas in my mind, that the blood in the back was from the original shooter. That maybe somebody shot him, put the patsy in there, but like I said, just a theory.
Well, I asked about the blood spatter in the back of the theater, the photograph, and I did not receive an adequate response about that because my source was in another area. Let me just leave it at that, okay? In another area. So really was going to find out more about the blood spatter, but based on my analysis, from going through. From being in blood spatter analysis, certainly that blood trail is going into the theater, not coming out of the theater.
Which directly contradicts the president's statement that 2 young girls exited there and went through 2 parking lots to safety. That's what he said in the press conference that he gave the day after the shooting from the hospital where the victims were. And he told the story of 2 girls, and one of the girls helping her friend who was shot in the neck leave out the back through 2 parking lots. And he kind of didn't say that's where the blood came from, but I think that's how they tried to explain away. And if you look at her wound, it's inconsistent with the amount of blood on the pavement. It's inconsistent with the way it looks. Not, you said the blood was flowing into the theater from the pattern.
No. Let me just clarify, or let me just stipulate one thing here, okay? When I say it's going into the theater, okay, under normal circumstances, not knowing anything else, yes. However, could it be coming with a person coming out of the back door of the theater? Well, that person would have to have the wound facing the back door, and no, it would. I guess no. It just would be too awkward.
They'd have to be
I can't
backward. I mean, if they were like, it would just be a very.
You would have
to. I sent that picture to you. Already having people say that the blood trail was leading in from other people who analyzed.
Yeah, I mean,
and I didn't say, hey, look, this is. I asked you. I said, which way does the blood look like it's going? And you said it looks like it's going to the door.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, but again, I can't vouch for the providence of the photograph.
Right.
But certainly anyone taking a look at that, any veteran investigator that's experienced that has seen blood spatter, would know that. I mean. It's pretty evident, okay? Now, how would someone make that if they were exiting the theater? It's possible, but you'd have to kind of be somewhat gymnastic. I suppose someone could be being carried out with the wound facing forward, the door, but that doesn't even make sense, especially.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make sense.
I don't know if you saw this. I'll post it in the chat room. This is from USA Today. Neuroscientists debunk idea Colorado suspect was super smart. And I don't know why this particular article was put out other than to really convolute the whole situation even more, confuse the situation even more, or distance themselves and their profession from this man. It says James Holmes seemed well on his way to a career as a scientist. His resume after he graduated with honors in neuroscience from the University of California, Riverside in 2010 cites experience in the lab, dissecting birds, studying the musculature, and analyzing data and graphs to measure molecules. We know that he has experience in neurological sciences, the changing of behaviors of cognitive functions. Also, he received a grant from a federal stipend, $26,000 grant, neuroscience grant last year.
Okay.
So.
Well, I was talking to someone else earlier this morning who's familiar with the weapons. For example, he could have, Yeah, the weapons that he used, the AR-15, there are different types of AR-15s. He could have bought the $600 or $700 AR-15, but he would, he had the more expensive one. He could have bought a 9mm, but what he had was whatever guy. I mean, the items that he purchased, the weapons that he purchased, it was almost as if he knew what he was doing, or was told, counseled, coached, or schooled in what to get.
Yeah.
So that's something to think about. And why? Okay, but out of all what's going on, why is this important? Because if this is staged, and I believe that there's something terribly wrong with this, then this will give us insight into the greater agenda, perhaps, of what's taking place.
Yeah, I agree. Ladies and gentlemen, if you would like to give us a call, the number is 661-244-9839. We are going to take a call now, area code 918. You're on live with the Hagmann and Hagmann Report.
Hi, Joe and Doug. How are you doing this evening?
Excellent.
Great. I want to introduce myself. My name is Stephen from Oklahoma. I'm actually a researcher for Paul Begley, Pastor Paul Begley.
I hear him reference you a lot, yeah.
Yes, and I want you all to sit down for a second if you're sitting down. Let's
Sure.
talk about the shooter. Okay. The Sunday before the Friday shooting, a week before, I woke up in the morning and I had a dream. I called Pastor Paul Begley, and he's put this on his radio. And I said, Pastor, I don't know what this means, but I felt like I was standing somewhere, like in a church or something. There's people sitting in pews. And I see this person sitting down, and it turns around, and they have a gas mask on. And then I turn around, and I see a person standing up with a gun with a gas mask on. And I told Pastor Paul, I said, it looked like the mural at the Denver airport. And I saw a flag in the dream, like a false flag. I believe there's two people that are involved in this. And you can ask Pastor Paul, this is all documented. And I know when the Lord is speaking to me, but I just want to let you all know, I turned you on and heard you talking about this and heard the second person, and I told Pastor, I think there's another person involved in this. And I think it's a female. So that's what happened. That's what happened.
Interesting. Yeah. Interesting that you say female, and I'll leave it at that because I'll just leave it at that. I got
the impression when the person sitting in the pew, when they turned, was a female, had a gas mask on. So,
any backpack?
I saw. That's all I saw. It was just, I thought I was seeing some pews and I was standing up. I didn't see a backpack. I just saw her lean. I saw people, a crowd, and I just saw her lean back and look at me with a gas mask on.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, and
wow.
If you want to, you can call Pastor Paul. He'll verify everything. I mean, even if you go to his blog on 720, you'll see when that happened. I woke up that morning and called him. I said, you know what happened? He said, yeah. And I said, do you recall my dream I told you last Sunday? And I also told people Sunday evening on Paul Begley Prophecy, I typed it in. So there's a bunch of people can verify that I had this dream.
So it's memorialized. Okay.
Huh?
That's interesting. Very interesting. Now, the only other question I have for you is, how do you become you're a researcher for Pastor Paul,
I'm a prophecy expert.
Okay.
I came to Christ watching prophecy. He can vouch. I'm in the banking industry. I'm not a nutcase. I used to close banks for the FDIC. Now I'm in the banking industry. So, I've always been a prophecy expert and came across him about a year and a half, 2 years ago, and started sharing some of my stuff and helping them along. So.
Well, okay, since you're in the banking industry, let's just kind of take a sharp left turn here and off topic. What do you? Obviously, you're not a teller. You said you close banks for the FDIC, or you're involved in that. So, economy-wise, what's on your immediate radar from a banking perspective for the United States?
we are in trouble, big time trouble. They're just holding it up as long as they can, and it's going to get tough. I've just kind of heard that through the grapevine. So.
Okay.
But God's going to take care of us. I want to let you all know God will take care of his people and stuff. So no fear with anyone. No fear.
I agree.
We never should walk in fear, especially if we have a relationship with the Lord.
Because our economy isn't based on the world's economy. It's based on the biblical economy, and God takes care of his people. And the Bible says he hasn't seen the righteous nor forsaken, nor his children begging for bread. So we stand on that. But we are in shambles. I think once you see Spain go down and Italy, it's going to hit here pretty quick. So
when you say pretty quick, give us a timeline: a week, a month, 2 days, an hour, what?
I think by the end of this year, we'll be in trouble, big time trouble.
But okay, the PIG pigs, Portugal, Italy.
Greece is going to be broke by August 20th. Spain,
correct.
They're having right now unrest and tensions rising. France, they're starting the austerity cuts. We're having QE3 starting in America next week. I said this at the beginning of the show. The global world markets are not, or economies are not doing well at all.
Free. Yeah, well, I guess when you see Spain go down, caller, from that point, days, weeks for America,
days and weeks probably. That's a huge economy over in Spain. I think it's one of the biggest. That and Italy, one of the biggest in Spain. Spain isn't a Greece. Greece is a smaller country, and they can probably absorb it. But when you see Spain go down the tube, the whole world's in trouble. And even China now is slowing down. So they're trying to cover up stuff. But China is slowing down too.
Okay. No, wait. I got to suck more information out of you because
we got a question in chat too. A good question.
Okay. Sure. Go ahead and have them ask. Go ahead and ask that question.
And I've heard this too. It says some say that we should have $1,000 cash on hand and available. And what good would that do if the dollar is tanked? But I have heard people say, you need cash on hand in case the economy collapses. But what good would the paper money be if the
good question? That was kind of where I was going too.
Sure. I would think a bank holiday would come first if this occurred. I mean, they can't switch the total currency to a totally different currency. So if something were to happen, huge defaults in banking industry and everything, then you would probably see, a bank holiday going on or, a lockdown on ATM. So it's good to carry some type of cash with you. I think like you all have said, food first, be prepared. I mean, you have 60% of the crop here dying in the United States, and it's only just a matter of time till it catches up. So I would think most people are in a situation where they can't afford to keep $1,000 in their house. But if they store up on food and water, that's what I suggest first.
Okay.
Kind of like what Steve Quayle would say and everything, and do what you can. But I would say, if the currency dropped and everything, you would see, a high escalation, bank closings, lockdowns until, something happened. But what I see happening first is war coming, is what I think is going to be more serious than, the dollar collapsing. I see, what's going on in Syria and Iran. That's just around the corner at some point. So
okay,
just a matter of time.
All right. Wow. All right. So the bottom line here, obviously, you just to recap what your thoughts are. And again, ladies and gentlemen, we're talking to a researcher for Pastor Paul Begley, who's been kind enough to call in. You're seeing perhaps war hitting us first, but then the European economy going down, and with that, it's going to drag the American economy down in a short period of time. But first, before everything crashes, we're going to be seeing bank holidays, and that, of course, is when the cash on hand will come into play. Is that how I'm reading this right? Am I reading that right?
Yes, that's
okay.
how I would. I mean, I'm not a prognostic, but that's how I would see, how it would go down, because, it would take a while. They do have the currency to make already in place for the one world, currency. They have that in place, but to get it reset and taken care of, that takes time.
So what would that mean? If I had, for example, on my studio desk right here in front of me $100 bill, and all of this is taken place where the American currency has gone down and everything's gone down, and the introduction of a one world currency, how much would that? What would we have to do? Take that $100 bill and trade it in for something else? For pennies on a dollar, or for a reduced rate? Or okay.
Correct.
Okay.
It's just like if you go to a different country, and you exchange your dollar for, let's say, a peso or shekels in Israel or anything, there's a price differential. Same with the European Union. Sometimes the euro is a little running a little higher than the dollar. So it'd be the same process, and instituting that worldwide would be a time-consuming process. That's why I think first, and this is just my opinion, I think first war is going to happen. All the economies are in shambles and everything, and they come together to let's make a one world government after a war. Let's have. That's how I kind of read the Bible and see it coming into play. The Bible clearly says that He'll make it a covenant, with many, a peace covenant. So, to make a peace covenant, there has to be some type of war, and that's what I feel will happen first. Is my opinion. I may be wrong. I hope I'm wrong, but my opinion, how I see the biblical perspective playing out right now.
All right, one last question. If we were to have a one world currency, would that be predicated upon taking some type of microchip, or would that be predicated upon selling your soul to be a part of that one world currency, or does that come later?
I think that comes later. I think I come from the point of view of a pre-tribulation rapture. I'm just saying that I know there's people that are post, mid, and we're all brothers in Christ. We all have our different opinions, but I come from a point of view that I think that will be instituted at the middle of the tribulation period. I think first will come a currency, like the dollar, some type of currency, and then that will not work, and then on to microchipping, where a person will have to. The Bible's clear that you'll have to make that decision. It won't be forced on you. Well, I guess it would kind of be forced on you. Either you take the mark or you're killed. But you'll have that free will to make that decision. For it. So I don't see the microchip coming into play until mid-tribulation. But I may be wrong. But that's kind of the perspective I come from.
Well, this is kind of like a roundtable discussion every night. So, all of these ideas are out there. No one has got a crystal ball for the minutia. We know how the larger story ends, and we appreciate your time, and your information. So certainly, we're not going to hold you to all of this, but boy, I'll tell you, it kind of fits with everything we're seeing now, doesn't it? My goodness.
Sure, and you all are doing a great job. You're fantastic, reaching the folks, talking of what's really going on in this world. And it's just amazing. I like how Steve Quayle says there's just zombies out there. There's so many people just blind to what is really going on in the world, and I have to agree with that officer. I definitely think there's a second person. I think that second person is a female. And,
okay.
Here's something to look at, too. I don't know if you ever saw this, but they showed the picture of that shooter on a adult website. I think it's Adult Friend Finder or something like that. Well, notice the lady behind him with just one eye open. That gives you a hint. Who does that all the time? So, and to let you know from a more spiritual point of view, too, Saturn was crowning out a Virgo that same evening, too. So I think it's just more of a ritualistic, satanic, thing that went down, a false flag. So, there's signs that show us things. So
interesting.
That's my opinion.
Well, great. Well, I appreciate your information. And Joe, back to you.
Absolutely, and I want to thank you for calling in. Is there anything else we'd like to say, or any other topics you'd like us to talk about or touch on before we let you go?
No, just keep an eye on the Olympics, what's going on there. I'm worried about that time, and anything that comes about, just keep an eye. In the middle of the Olympics, of course, you have our president's birthday. In the middle of the Olympics, same time as Prince William's Christendom happened. So there's some spiritual things going on, and it's a slap in the face to the Jewish nation to start the Olympics on the 9th of Av. So I mean, so pray for the peace of Jerusalem is what I would leave it at. So
indeed,
and thank you for others for all you do. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you for reaching out to us and calling the show. Feel free to call back anytime, and keep doing the good work you do. I hear the pastor, referencing your information all the time, so just keep it up.
All right. God bless you all.
You too.
Thank you so much. Yeah, what a great call. It's always good to get information like this and to compare it to what we had. And like I said, I just want to reiterate the interview that I did with a law enforcement officer from the Aurora, Colorado. From Aurora, Colorado. The location of the shooting, close to the involved in the investigation or parts. You have to understand, this is a pretty big investigation. Okay.
Is it though? I mean.
Well, they made it that way.
Yeah,
okay.
It might appear to be, but I don't know. Is there an investigation going on, or is there more of a closed-minded, we got our guy, our only guy, this is how it happened, and this is the way it's going to stay?
Well, okay, according to the source that I talked to tonight, the FBI came in and it was kind of like that movie, the original movie Die Hard. The FBI came in and the local police commander said, I'm in charge. The FBI said, who's in charge? And the guy said, I am. And the FBI said, no, not anymore. We are. And they took over the investigation. And then from that, the FBI began to compartmentalize things and made the police their lapdogs, where you go off here, collect this evidence, and report back to us, meaning the FBI. And so they were very careful to compartmentalize certain aspects of this investigation. But again, where my source is coming from is, look, after at the end of the night and into the morning, they all got together for coffee and they started comparing notes, and they said, wait a minute, there's some things that aren't right here. And again, how we came into this source is through a listener, a family member of a listener, who is part of that police agency. And again, the big news here is 2 and perhaps 3.
Yeah,
3. But the third would serve more of a support role, and the second, in fact, could be an alternate or even the primary shooter. That's something that, but I can't release any more information until I get, additional authorization from this individual. Certainly, I'm not going to be able to give his name, because that would just, where would he work after that? Okay. But certainly the information and perhaps even some documents. But again, now the FBI is controlling all the documents. The court documents have been sealed. I believe some of the search warrants, and there are multiple search warrants have been sealed by the courts.
I hate I hate to keep talking about the shooting. I mean, we keep getting back to this, but we almost have to, due to the amount of information and lack of information that and the arms treaty and all this that's going on. But I want to hit on. We got a couple minutes before the break. I'm going to hit on some news topics, and then we'll go to the break, and we can come back to this. And calls, we can take those. We'll take one before the break, and then the rest after. Drought to drive up food prices next year, U.S. says. This is something we were just discussing. This article out of the New York Times. The worst drought in United States history is nearly half a century is expected to drive up the price of milk, beef, and pork next year. The government said Wednesday, as customers bear some of the brunt of the sweltering heat that is driving up the cost of feed corn. And it goes on to talk about prices of poultry and dairy and prices of soybeans, corn, and wheat, and other commodity crops are. They say corn's now up to $8 a bushel, up 50% from a month ago. Soybeans are $17 a bushel, up $13 from 2 months ago. And food prices overall rise about 1% for every 50% increase in corn prices. So we are seeing an increase and another increase, and followed by another increase.
That sounds almost a little bit too, for every 50% increase, so corn is going to have to...
So the corn's already increased 50% from last month. And according to that,
so that's just a
1% rises
1% bump?
Yeah,
that seems a little bit because don't forget corn influences fuel, and other So
it's probably underestimated, like the jobs and numbers and inflation numbers. It's government calculations, government estimations. So it's probably about 3 or 4%.
At least. At least, I don't buy the 1% in any way, shape, or form. But
no. Also,
go ahead.
I don't know if you saw what I wrote up a little something today, and I talked about this at the beginning of the show. Janet Napolitano.
Yes, let's talk about that.
DHS head says expect more members of terrorist organizations to visit the United States. And what happened was Napolitano defended her decision to host Hani Noor Eldin, a member of the Egyptian parliament elected to the political party platform of the Islamic Group, which is a State Department foreign terrorist organization. He was at the White House, and now she was being questioned by Peter King, and she said that not only is this okay to grant these people on a terror watch list and associated with terror groups waivers to travel into the country and eat dinner at the White House and with the head of NSA and etc., but for the sake of progress, that this was going to continue. And she says, as I think you are right in pointing out that as we move forward, we are going to continue to have visitors to this country that the State Department and others feel are useful to bring the country to have discussions moving forward who say they are members of a political party that in the past have been designated as terrorists.
And this is ridiculous. This is.
And while they're expanding the TSA to crack down on the freedoms of you and me all across the United States, labeling us enemies, labeling us terrorists, NSA whistleblowers today come out and say the government is spying on every single American. The guy in his quote even says domestically they're putting together all the data about virtually every American citizen in the country.
Yes.
And accumulating that kind of information about every individual person, and it's a very dangerous process. But it's okay to let foreign, domestic terrorists, whatever you come from,
foreign terrorists,
terrorist, well, domestic or foreign, doesn't matter. Anwar al-Awlaki was an American. He ate dinner at the Pentagon before he was droned.
That's right.
We have this guy from Egypt now allowed to come over. But, 5-year-olds on a no-fly list due to a name, malfunction communication thing, they're not allowed to fly, but we get waivers from the head of the Department of Homeland Security to fly terrorists into Washington to eat dinner with these people, to meet with Obama. I mean, do you have to be a terrorist to eat dinner at the White House anymore? Is this how it works?
Well, no, but it helps. I mean, it does help. And look, there are two things that bother me about this. Okay, this guy, Hani Noor Eldin, if you will, is part of this Islamic group, and I'm not even going to try to pronounce the Islamic name of this, but he's part of this Islamic group. This has been a designated terrorist organization. It's allied with and associated with Al-Qaeda. In fact, this Islamic group was funded by Osama bin Laden. That's how close this is. And
it's a circle of love, And Osama bin Laden is funded by the CIA, funded by the Bush family, back to the,
right.
Geez.
Well, this guy, okay, but now the one thing that Peter King said, and I believe this to be true, I've got Napolitano may have violated federal law. There is a federal law.
Who cares? They violate every federal law.
Exactly. But so they bring this guy in, tour the Wilson Center. They meet with senior Obama he meets with senior Obama administration officials. But here's one of the big things that bothers me, and this I keep seeing this pop up, and there's something about this that is not right. I got a gut feeling about this. At every one of these Egyptian terrorists says they want the blind sheik released to a Egyptian prison. Okay,
the blind sheik. I've heard about him. Yeah, I'm not really familiar with what he's done, but I've heard that they're all saying he needs to be released. And
yes, well, he look, he was convicted for his in the 1993 World Trade Center bombing, and and plus he was involved in the landmark plots in New York City.
Was he? I mean,
no, this guy's a bad look. This guy
was involved in the bombings of the World Trade Center in 1993. So.
Whatever, but this guy,
whatever.
No, I mean, look, I understand that, but you also have bad Muslims. You got to understand that, okay?
So good terrorists and bad terrorists.
No, you got bad Muslims, and this guy, this blind sheik is about as bad as you can get on the scale of bad Islamic terrorists. Yet. And I have this gut instinct that Napolitano or Obama is going to release this blind sheik into the hands of Egyptian authorities, and I just have this gut feeling. And if
they do, who cares? We have so many terrorists inside of our government working without being, put in Guantanamo or in prison that work with. If they want to commit a terrorist attack, they're going to do it. How come the NSA is spying on every single American citizen but can't stop the Colorado shooter? How come they can stop all these patsy fake Islam terrorist bombings that they stage, before they happen, but they can't arrest when something real is going to happen? Apparently this Colorado shooter sent a really disturbing notebook to a psychiatrist before he did it. There's just a number of things. So you look at what they're saying.
Shades of the Unabomber. It almost followed the pattern of the Unabomber. I'm not sure if it was a psychiatrist or I thought it was a news agency, perhaps, maybe both. I'm not exactly certain, but he warned people in advance that he's going to do this.
Yeah, and we're up against the break now, and I want to hit on this right before we go to break. Mayor Bloomberg calls for the police to strike. We played that audio yesterday.
Yes.
He was violating the law. And the New York Magazine words the title like this: Mayor Bloomberg flirts with violating the Taylor law. But no, he really violated it, no matter what that headline, how it reads. He's calling, as a mayor of a city, for anarchy. And it's illegal for him to do that. But we'll go to break. We'll take your calls. Get into some more news on the other side. You're listening to the Hagmann and Hagmann Report this Wednesday, July 25th, 2012. Stay with us for our second hour. We'll be right back after a few short messages.
Hi folks, Doug Hagmann here. You might know me as the co-host from the Hagmann and Hagmann Report or as a frequent guest on Coast to Coast AM with George Norrie. If you're like me, you're tired and confused over today's headlines. You just don't know where to turn for accurate, concise information about really what's going on, what's truly going on in today's society. If you don't know where to turn for accurate, well-researched, and properly vetted news, I've got a suggestion. In fact, it's a requirement. Bookmark Canada Free Press. That's CanadaFreePress.com on the internet. It's just not for Canada. It's for news across the world. Judy McLeod, founding editor, has put together a vast array of talented writers like Kelly O'Connell, Daniel Greenfield, Dr. Eileen Johnson-Powell, a lot of guest columnists, very talented writers. Folks, that's Canada Free Press at CanadaFreePress.com. Now mobile friendly. Follow on Facebook, because without America, there is no free world.
Survival of the fittest. In any and all situations, survival is your number one priority. That requires being tough and thinking smart. And the folks at Freeze Dry Guy are going to help you do just that. They have the long-range patrol ration entrees, what they call the Break Pack. When you're in survival mode, it is absolutely the best item for your survival pack or bug-out bag. You can go farther, faster, and carry more food with the LRP cold weather ration entrees. Not only do these long-lasting, durable entrees help sustain you or your family through the harshest environment or situation, they are by far the most delicious of their kind. No contest. With a variety of tasty entrees, you can't beat the LRP brick packs. Let Freeze Dry Guy help you in your survival situations. Go to freezedryguy.com. That's freezedryguy.com or call 866-404-3663. That's 866-404-FOOD.
So our founding fathers gave us the Second Amendment, the right to keep and bear arms. And we got these idiots in Congress saying, well, you don't need a machine gun to go duck hunting. Well, you would get a lot of ducks, but the Second Amendment is not so we can go duck hunting. The Second Amendment is so we can protect ourselves from our government if they go bad. What if the government goes bad? Who's going to stop them? That's what the Second Amendment's about. Now, folks, you see, a lot of animals that eat grass have horns. You don't need horns to eat grass, do you? See, the problem is, he's just trying to eat the grass, but the lion keeps jumping on his back. And so the horns are to help educate the lion to stay off his back so he can eat the grass. That's what the horns are for. It's an educational tool. And I don't think we need guns to go kill everybody. We need guns to educate other folks. Leave me alone. Don't break into my house. Don't hurt my wife. Don't hurt my kids. Don't steal my stuff. Stay out of my house. I believe in gun control. Gun control is being able to hold it steady and hit the intended target. That's gun control. We practice it all the time at our place, okay? But
Doug Hagmann, one guy that doesn't need a bullhorn to get your attention.
You want answers. I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to this Wednesday, July 25th, 2012 edition of the Hagmann and Hagmann Report. My name is Joe Hagmann. My co-host is Doug Hagmann. And together we are the premier father and son radio show program in the nation.
That's right. Across the world, throughout the world, as a matter of fact. And I was told that Israel, today, they were listening to our show last night. So it's...
Well, God bless everybody who's listening from no matter what country you come from. We're in this fight together. It's a spiritual battle. We are truly fighting against evil on a daily basis, and we have to continue to fight to keep this evil out of our individual lives first and foremost, and then branch out to continue to keep it out of the peoples who are around us and expand from there.
Indeed, Joe. Well, I'll tell you what, we've got, again, this is a caller-driven show, folks. If you wish to call in, voice your opinion, tell us what's on your mind, 661-244-9839. Let's go to the phones. We'll
go here, 717 area code. Looks like you've been holding the longest. 717, you're on live with the Hagmann and Hagmann Report.
Hi, Hagmann.
Hi.
Hello there.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if I was on or not. I want to first of all thank you for your show.
Well, thank you. Yeah, there's a little delay there. We apologize for that, but we have to have that delay.
Are you still there?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
I'm Karen, and I'm from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. I called a couple, I guess a week ago or so, whatever, about the person from the government coming to my door. But I also wanted to... Yeah.
Sorry.
Did you ever get my email on it?
Yes, I did.
I sent it to you. Hello?
Wait. Yeah, I did. Are you talking to Joe? Because I think I got like after your call, I must have gotten 50 emails about that. I don't know if you were referencing Joe or not. Did you send an email to me or Joe? I'm not sure which.
I sent it to Joe.
Okay.
I think I did get your email here in about the
census.
Yeah.
Or the survey. I'm sorry.
It's a survey. It wasn't the census, but I was so nervous when I was speaking to you guys. But I have a question on this shooter dude. First of all, okay, and the caller that was in the banking system, I was in the refinancing business, and I saw the things starting to happen back in 2005 with all the money with the collapse starting. I was making close to over $100,000, and I went from that all the way down to making $5,000 a year.
Wow.
But Obama has done one thing. He has totally destroyed the middle class. So he can put that on his record. But anyways, back to the shooter. Didn't we have all those Russian people here?
Yes.
Yes, we did.
Okay, now maybe you're going to think I wear a tinfoil hat here, but my gut's telling me the whole entire thing is totally staged. Now, I do believe that there was a few victims in there that did get shot and killed, but my gut's telling me that this guy somehow or another is either going to mysteriously die in jail and they're going to recirculate the guy again, but I believe that he's a Russian agent. Because I'm following the money here.
Okay.
Obama's birth certificate was coming out. We're not hearing a peep about that now. The thing that's going on with the guns that they were doing down in Mexico, if they could do that in Mexico, why couldn't they just come in and do a theater thing? And the way that the American, the way that they can remember anything, it's no more than 2 minutes, and they forget totally about everything.
That's true. That's true. What makes you? What's your connection between the shooter and the Russian? You said that if you follow the money trail, what you mean? The money with respect to where he got the weapons and the bomb making equipment, or is it something else?
I think it's a combination of that. Okay. And also, right now, the money trail. Okay, what's going to happen with the Olympics is the president is notorious on famous holidays like New Year's Eve. Is when he already signed off, basically with the what is it that the thing that they come to your house is right. He did that on New Year's Eve. Why wouldn't he do it on the night of the Olympics? I mean, we know his track record. He does this. He's going to sign it off. It doesn't matter if there's one person sitting on the fence or not, to sign off on the gun thing for the Congress. He's already bypassed Congress.
Yeah.
Right. He will sign. Believe me, they will sign. We will become a signatory to the Arms Trade Treaty.
Right, which puts countries like Syria and China and Russia as policy deciders for what happens in our country.
Well,
here's the thing. Remember when I'm sure you don't remember totally everything that I said that night. When I said to you about we're going to have a lot of the refugees here, well, it's not that they're just coming over here and taking more jobs. They're literally, it's going to end up being a Muslim country. And all these attacks that you're seeing where the attacks, we're the terrorists, the Christians, and the Jews are the terrorists. It's not the Muslims. Not when these people are coming out and are being blatant in your face, okay? And they're telling us, hey, we're going to bring these terrorists every year. And then they have the audacity. Did you see now that they're having Al-Qaeda, quote-unquote Al-Qaeda, warnings now for the United States?
Yes.
Now isn't that interesting? Now, we're the ones that are giving the Brotherhood, which is Al-Qaeda, okay, all this support, and yet they're supposed to be our enemies. I mean, none of this is making sense. None of it. Except that a coup is happening.
Carl, if I can just say this, it does make sense, and I'm going to make 3 statements here, and this is how it makes sense. Groups from the hardcore socialist and communist left, that's Obama and company, and groups from Islam will work together because they are both a common enemy of Israel and the Jewish nation and the Western democratic society. They are common enemies. Okay, that's one statement. They're also the same groups, or groups from the hardcore socialist and communist left. Again, Obama and Islam. They're going to work together because they're the common enemy of capitalism and the Western way of life. So they're the common enemy against Israel and the Jew, capitalism and the Western way of life, and they're the common enemy of the Christians in this country because the hardcore left, the progressives, the socialists, and the communists, they want to eradicate Christianity from the face of the earth, but more importantly from America and then the face of the earth. So you're correct. So it makes sense when you look at it through that angle, I guess, at that angle. Go ahead. I mean, to me it makes sense that way.
Well, see, here's my gut feeling. I know people are saying, well, we should take our money out of the bank and keep it in our house. But what's going to happen, I have some friends that are still in the business that I keep in contact with. I don't foresee, like, running out and grabbing your money out of the bank right now at the moment. We're not poor enough yet, okay? We got to really, 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 really be hurting. And we're not there yet. Although you look around, there's a lot of misery. I mean, look down your street. I'm sure you're going to see a couple houses that are for sale. It's not that these people just decided to sell their house. It's because the bank's coming in and literally stealing their homes out from underneath them. And, you know, but what my gut's saying to me is it's most likely we're going to see, even if you pull that money out of the bank, okay, whether it's a bank holiday or not, you're just going to have a piece of paper on your desk, okay? It's not going to be worth anything. So it doesn't matter. They're going to take the value and literally drop it down to nothing.
We've seen that here, and that's already in progress. And it's if you haven't experienced it, you will. Just buckle up. You're right, caller. You know, you're absolutely correct.
The main thing is if whatever you have, like if anybody still has a 401k, ha ha ha. But if you do, get your money out of it, pay the penalties, and if you can pay your house off, at least you'll have your house. But the problem is that's going to come in is even if you have your house, the taxes are going to go so high that you're not going to be able to afford the taxes on the house either. So it's another way of the government coming in and taking the homes. And basically what I foresee, these foreigners that are coming in right now at the moment, they're coming in and they're picking out where they want to live.
Yeah, I've heard that. I've heard that.
Wow. I mean,
talk about that.
Think about that,
we are
folks.
The commodity for our debt. We are the backing. Since the dollar was taken off the gold standard, the citizens of the United States and their land and resources are the collateral for our fake debt we have to the banks. And they're going to come collecting, I believe.
And you're right, Colin.
They're going to basically take us up because we're going to be considered terrorists, and they want us to go out and actually fire back. I mean, this is why they're doing everything that they can, because they're going to make the first round of people very, very bloody. So then when people see this, they're going to say, this can't be our country. Oh, yes, it can be because it's not our country no more. It hasn't been our country for a long time. And that's the thing that's sad. We got to wake up. This is not our country anymore.
I agree with you that, you know, a lot of these things that they are doing and the way they're reporting on them is to get a reaction of resistance, is to get the opposition, because they have all angles prepared. When I say they, I don't even mean our government. I mean these global bankers that are pulling the strings across the world, from the Arab Spring to the Chinese markets and the gold there to the LIBOR scam. I mean, these people are running all this stuff. And they know what's coming, and they know how to prepare for it. And they have all angles covered, and it would be in our best interest to do the same. Caller, is there anything else before we let you go?
Yeah, just one thing. You know, when you were starting to talk about the blind sheik, it was amazing. Now, I have AOL. I'm probably one of the old relics here. I don't even do Facebook because I'm too afraid that they're going to track everything back at this point in time. But I'm sure they're tracking it. You literally, the whole thing went right completely off, got kicked out as soon as you started to say anything about that.
The
so I don't know if any of
audio?
the other people saw that or not. My computer was working perfectly fine, but as soon as you started to say something about that terrorist speak, boom, you went out.
Well, I'll tell you what, we have many people in the chat room are reporting individually getting kicked out. Blue, our buddy Thomas, who streams the show, is saying he can't stream the show live right now. He's getting kicked out too many times. A couple other people in the chat room losing audio over and over again.
Yeah, we're under attack. I mean, and I mean that. I'm not trying to hype things up, but we're under attack constantly. We've got and I used to think that Steve Quayle was blaming getting kicked off for
technical problems on real attacks.
Yeah, right. But no, I'm telling you, man. And he told me, he said, "Look, it's going to happen to you guys," and it is. So for that, we apologize.
Well, the reason why they're after you, okay, attacking you, is because evil doesn't like truth. And one other thing, too, I can see things. Now, again, I do believe in the Lord Jesus Christ with my heart and soul, but I can sometimes see things, touch things, smell them. I mean, the whole thing. Doug, the reason why you were smelling roses when you talked to somebody about Christ is because when you got saved, you were around that area where you had, it's almost like it's renewing you again. But also, too, I'm letting you know that you have something coming within about 2 to 3 weeks. There's been an issue that you couldn't kind of put your finger on, but you've been trying to put your finger on. 2 to 3 weeks, it's all going to come to you.
Well, I got a stack of papers or a stack of things like that. Boy,
No. This thing has been really bugging you. I mean, this thing has been a challenge to you, and you know what it is. It's been something where you kind of couldn't put all the pieces together. You kind of got it, but you didn't get it. It's gonna be like a eureka moment, and you'll be going to your desk. And I want to say it's like in your paper bin. It's like on the second one down. Is what I'm seeing. It's in that file.
Wow.
Well,
okay.
He's got a lot of paper bins, so I hope after the show you take the time and go through those and find that.
I'm going to, and I appreciate that. Thank you. I mean, seriously, thank you.
We receive information, from people similar to this that is accurate, and I'm not.
I can't explain it.
Yeah.
But caller, I want to thank you very much.
Check into that guy's background. I want to say he's Russian.
Okay, we can do that.
Yeah,
definitely. We know.
Just check into it. That's all I can say. But you guys are great. When I do get a job, guys, honest to God, if anybody can afford, right now I'm serious, 3 months with no income. But I'm looking at this as boot camp. That's all I can tell you is boot camp, because it's going to become a day where it's not going to be there. So hey, why not do it now and get used to it, whatever. But if God willing, I get a job, I'm sending you some money.
Well, thank you very much. But you know what?
We need your voice. We need the voice. We're on the Titanic, folks. You guys are still doing the SOS. We're on the Titanic. Wake up, folks. We really are on the Titanic, and the time is running out. First, get your life right with Jesus Christ, because, there's eternity you got to look at. We're only here but for a few moments, but we need the Lord, and that's my biggest thing I would tell anybody. And you have the Lord on your side. You don't have to fear anything.
Amen.
Amen, indeed. Caller, thank you. God bless you. Thank you so much for your call, and we'll pray for your financial recovery. And I think I'm sure it's rough, but prayers work wonders. So thank you for everything.
God's bigger than all of this. And you know what? It's funny. I had a ton of money in my lifetime, and now I didn't. But I've at least lived all my life. I've lived it when it was good and it's bad. But you know what? I would not want to live another minute if I didn't have God in it. that would scare me to death. I can't even imagine the people out there that don't believe. I don't even know how they would get through the next moment. I would be just terrorized. But I'm telling you guys, you are a voice. Well, we have this voice. Please. And honest to God, I'm praying for you guys. I'm praying for protection and everything. But you will get your answer, Doug. Seriously, in about between 2 to 3 weeks. But everything that you've been, it's been kind of like every now and then you'll kind of just, it'll go through your mind this one issue. You're going to get your answer. You'll get that answer. But God be with you, and a big hug to both of you guys. And thank you guys in the blog and everybody else. Y'all have a good night, though.
Good night. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
What a great call. Yeah, wow, that's
a great call from our home state.
Indeed, yeah. And it's she mentioned the Titanic. We don't want to spend time rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic. What we want to do is we want to, and realistically, we know that we might not be able to save the Titanic, but if we can save one passenger, 2, 3, 4, a dozen, however many.
And I got a chance to listen to the pastor show a little bit today, and one of the important things I did hear him say when asked, he said, the signs and the times we live in right now, and the signs of these times are the end times. And, he says he hears arguments of people saying, well, we've always had earthquakes, we've always had droughts, we've always had catastrophes, but he made a great point, and he said never with the frequency and intensity and all at once. Never have all of the prophecies in the Bible come together all at the same time.
That's
the
true.
Perfect harmony that they're coming together now. With the global financial markets in turmoil across the board, with the uprisings in the Middle East, throughout Europe with the financial markets, and even in the U.S. I mean, look at some of the headlines from yesterday. Anaheim, there was 24 people arrested as clashing with police. Dallas, angry crowd confronts police in Dallas. The FBI moved in. Mobs smashing windows, setting fires against the police. We're seeing uprisings across the world. We're seeing economic turbulence and crisis across the world. We're seeing a crackdown on freedom and civil rights across the world. Pretty soon, it's not going to be, these warnings. Pretty soon, it's going to be these implementations. And that is when it's really going to get ugly, and the time of true faith and true test of your will and your obedience to God will be tested. You will be tested. None of us will get out of this easy. We will all have our stumbling blocks put before us. The key is to recognize those are stumbling blocks and to step over them instead of stumble over them. And we need to be in the right position to be able to do that. And the only way to do that is being prepared by being saved in the Lord and having that relationship.
Absolutely. Yeah, I can't expand on that. That's perfect. Said very well.
All right, well, let's look at the phones. We only have a few callers on the line. 702 area code, I see you're in here. We're going to go to your call. Area code 702, you're live on the Hagmann and Hagmann Report.
Hi, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
Pretty good. See, I'm real glad I got the YouTube because I found something on the internet, and it's very compelling, and I've been trying to send it to Steve Quayle, and I'm glad. I'd like to have everybody know about it. Is it okay if I give that site out?
Sure, go ahead. Well, what's the site?
It's danielstimeline.com, and this guy goes really deep into detail on explaining how we are already in the tribulation, and even though it says no man knows the day or the hour, this guy explains that that's a code in the Bible that explains when the actual end times are, and he's saying we're in it already.
I've heard similar.
Is it using the Hebrew gematria, or does that sound familiar? Is it gematria?
Yeah, absolutely. He's talking about the Hebrew calendar.
Okay.
And it's very, very, very interesting. I mean, if nothing else, people should look at it and realize how close we are to everything, because everything coincides with what Mr. Quayle's talking about and with what I hear on other websites and shows, and how they're talking about the coming cosmic storms, and the solar flares that's going to show up. I mean,
right.
I believe all this is true. And then I don't know if anyone's noticed it when Steve Quayle talks about the giants. Not too long ago, there was on the internet was a giant mummified finger that was as big as an arm. I don't know if anyone's ever seen that, but all this is real, and I'm trying to get the word out myself.
Well, we all need to get the word out because, like I said, if what we are on is one big global Titanic, and we're watchmen, we need to get the word out. You're exactly correct. So, there are a lot of interesting things with respect to now Daniel's timeline. I'm not sure about that, but because I haven't been to that site, but. Using gematria, using various, using the Torah, the original Hebrew Torah, and equidistant letter spacing, and certain other things. It's pretty interesting to see what's there, and I don't think it's a coincidence. I think it is, in fact, a science more than to just theories. So. But we will check that site out, and I certainly will pass that along to Steve Quayle as well, in case you.
I really appreciate it. I mean, everybody's got to read Mr. Quayle's books, Angel Wars and stuff, because he's got the Book of Enoch, and boy, that explains so much about what's really going on also today, and why everything's happening.
I want to jump in.
Yeah, go ahead.
The Book of Enoch, we should do a part of a show on this book because it's very controversial in the minds of some. It's very enlightening in the minds of others. Some say it's not real, or not accurate, or it's, should never have been in the Bible. Some say it should have been in the Bible. But if you've ever read or you can listen to the Book of Enoch, it is a very interesting book. And if it was written, back in, I think, what was Enoch, 7 generations away from Adam, and it talks about he walked with God, and he was shown the 4 corners of the earth and the 4 corners of the universe, how the universe works, and it's all described in great detail in the Book of Enoch. And why is that book not in the Bible? We could do this in another show, obviously, but there is a lot to talk about with that book.
Oh, I agree, and it was in the Dead Sea Scrolls too when they found it I think it was 1948 they found it, and it's also there's lots of quotes in the Bible that quotes the Book of Enoch. So that book is very important for people to read because it really lays a lowdown on who our enemy is and why everything is the way it is. It's very compelling.
It basically explains the spiritual war that has been taking place since the beginning of time. The angels who are fighting in it, the bad angels who have fallen. I mean, it names all these angels. It names these archangels, and we know the archangels' names, but it really gets into a lot of detail.
I agree, and I tell people that basically life is. I don't want to say it's like the Matrix, but it really is. We think we're in a physical world, and everything in reality is based on the spiritual. But not many people realize that. They're so tied up on the day-to-day, what's on the television, the sports, their jobs, and everything.
People have a lack of desire to search, a lack of desire for knowledge, for the knowledge of God, for the wisdom of God. They would, like you said, rather turn on the TV, video games, than to open the Bible, than to research the history or lineage of the descendants from Adam all the way down. I mean, people do not strive for this important knowledge. Instead, they look to waste their time being lobotomized by TV.
That's true. It's true. I really don't watch TV anymore. I used to years ago, but I just don't find anything in it. And now I just spend all my time, trying to, read what I can in the Bible or read what other information I can find. I listen to you guys. I listen to Mr. Quayle. I get on his website. I mean, I'm digging, and I'm digging as much as I can because I see, I see the truth on what really is going on, and I'm trying to spread that around. I print out cards, and I give it to people, and I'm talking to people, and some of them look at me like I'm crazy, but you know what? At least I'm trying to, get the word out. I
Hey,
encourage everyone else to do that too.
you're in good company because people look at us like we're nuts as well. So believe me, don't let that bother you at all. But thanks for the call. We really appreciate that. Yeah, and thanks for listening, Joe. I've got here an email here that according to investigators following the developing global gun ban known as the Arms Trade Treaty. There's some documents that are being mined that shows the ever-expanding scope of this ATT, and that it shows that privately owned small arms and ammunition apparently are to be included in this agreement. Now, and this also states that several states have caved. We don't know which ones. Of course, this could change by Friday night, but we don't think so.
Now, when you say, I have a question, because somebody a caller or an audience member asked this. The states, it's the senators that ratify this. They need 2/3 of the Senate, correct?
That is
the individual
correct.
states. So you're saying the states as far as the senators that represent those states?
Let's see here. Unless they're talking about, let's see here. Unless they're talking about nation states, but let's see. No. Let's see. No, I believe it's. No, I think they're talking about nation states here. In this is just a bit. That's kind of a choppy piece of email that I'm not exactly certain. But the thing that caught my attention is the fact that the documents that are not being shown yet. The most important part here is the fact that privately owned small arms and ammunition, and that's key, are to be included in this arms trade treaty, and that is something that we knew. Okay, that was a possibility, but to see it in black and white, look, I'm not certain. I'm just that doesn't set well with me. And let me just see one other thing here. Okay, another email too. I think it's important for people to hear this. 99% of the U.S. is in danger of starvation, and some economists are predicting financial collapse as catastrophic as the Great Depression. With the significant number of people living in cities far away from their food sources, it is now more likely than ever that these people, because of the fact that we don't have the number of farms as we did, and the farming industry is as it is, that famine, that the drought that is causing the uptick in corn prices and destroying the crops and so on and so forth, and it's kind of a cascading effect, is going to be much greater. It's going to have a much greater effect on people. Now, just take that to heart, ladies and gentlemen. And yes, as the other caller said, food and water extremely important. And I think right now, if you don't have, look. And I want to thank people who have sent us, $5 and $10, and but I'll tell you what, you put an extra can of soup in your pantry or something, because please take care of yourselves. Really, we need this. We need you around. We need everybody around. We
just
prepare.
To give you an example. My wife took her mother to the store today. They're going to it's Sam's Club around here. It's just a bulk store where you can, you buy things in bulk. And I gave her some money. I said, because they have rice for cheap there. Yeah, they have a couple of things for cheap there. I gave her like a $20 bill, and I said, well, she can get a couple, 25-pound bag of rice and a whole big thing of canned food. And just that alone could keep us alive for, a couple weeks, just that small purchase there, us two, So it is very important. It is vital that you get food on hand that you have, even things like ramen noodles, or any kind of noodles, and get bouillon with the noodles, vegetables, seeds, you can go out flour, sugar, wheat, beans. These are important things. We still did not do a show on preparedness. And
anyway, one thing, I'll tell you what.
The book,
this,
Dare to Prepare by Holly Dale. That's a must-have.
And folks, Freeze Dried Guy. He's a sponsor of our program, or a partial sponsor, if you will, of our program. That's Freeze Dried Guy. For some reason, the link I accidentally blew up the link on our website. I'll put it back up. Give him a call, and he'll talk you through what you need. Both in terms of calories and in content, gluten-free, non-gluten, all the gluten-free or whatever your questions are. This is a guy that will spend some time with you, Freeze-Dried Guy. I'll put the link up on HomelandSecurityUS.com. And one last thing I want to say, I just want to say hello to both Judy and Brian from CanadaFreePress.com. They have done a lot to help us stay up and stay on the air, and have done so much for this program, so much for our website, for getting the word out. Folks, visit and bookmark CanadaFreePress.com, because I'm going to tell you something. That to us is show prep, and those people, Judy and Brian, they vet their contributing authors, and they've got some fantastic informational stories. I got to tell you that they're the greatest people in terms of any news site out there. CanadaFreePress.com.
Yeah,
and
they're great writers.
They're not paying me to say that. Really, I'm serious, but that's from the heart.
We have their ad and promote their website because of the content.
Yes.
Because of the character of the people that own and run that website and media outlet. It is a very important media outlet, as it gets to the truth. It doesn't, dangle around the party lines too much. It exposes corruption where it stands, and that's what we need. We don't need,
right.
websites that are party favored, biased, reporting the news based on which party it goes against.
That's right, and they're not afraid to publish something that's controversial. In fact, an article Judy was kind enough to feature an article that I wrote today on CanadaFreePress.com. And folks, if you have a chance, go ahead and read it and comment on it too. It's about it's about what's taking place today. But my favorite staff member there is Kiko. Kiko is. Hello, Kiko, if you're listening. All right.
We can hit some news. Some of the I touched on this article earlier, did not get into it. TSA expands invasion to California train stations and bus terminals. And this is an article from InfoWars.
And look, I've got to give credit where credit's due. Alex Jones had said that early on that they were going to do this, and then we got the information that they were going to do this.
And he had I got to listen to part of his show today. He had Bob Barr on, and if you remember, when you wrote an article, and this was one of the articles that InfoWars picked up, and Bob Barr filed the Freedom of Information Act request because I think it was your source or somebody gave you the information that people who are promoting opt-outs or non-compliance with the TSA are on terror watch list or labeled enemies or terrorists, domestic extremists, and they filed the Freedom of Information Act request to get that information to be stonewalled, but it basically came out later through trickle-out leaks, not in so many words, but it did come out that people who are opposed to the TSA are considered to be a threat, and now they are expanding to the soft targets. I got rid of the audio we had on our studio, but a couple of times we played it where this was before the shooting, where they talked about movie theaters. They've been seen at proms. They've been at school proms, at TSA. They're at bus stations, malls, the Mall of America. I mean, sports stadiums. They've signed contracts with the NFL, with the NHL. They are now pretty much everywhere. And I won't put up with that on the highway. I mean, if I ever get in a situation where I'm stopped by a TSA checkpoint, I'll basically tell them to go pound salt before I'll answer any of their questions nicely. And I know that doesn't sit well with you so much, but That's
no,
the way I am. But for
does.
them
You just
to be
have
on
to
the
pick
bus,
your battles. That's
for
all.
them to be on the train doing random bag searches with canine units, with fake federal authority, unconstitutional, authority. This is all just an illusion. These people are not officers. They are federally hired goon squads, unconstitutional goon squads that don't have the authority to, strip search an ant on the sidewalk, let alone, a human being in a place of travel. So that's how I view it as.
No,
that's how the rule of law views it as.
I agree with you on that, and please, because I'm going to get a whole bunch of emails saying what you don't agree or you're okay with it. No, look, I agree. I do. Well, let me just rephrase this. I disagree with checks on the highways. Unless you're at a border crossing, I don't believe you should be molested as you travel on our nation's highways. If you get stopped by the TSA,
I don't think any cops, anybody has the right for a checkpoint. DUI checkpoint, it doesn't matter. When we travel, we see police officers standing behind the person who collects the toll money, like kind of sneaky behind the toll box, looking to see if people are wearing seatbelts. It's just ridiculous. And there's great videos out there on how to not comply with a checkpoint without getting in trouble. And you're going to have to gauge the situation as you're approaching.
Did you hear yourself without getting in trouble? Look, if
No, I'm not saying stay away from trouble. I'm saying try to stay away from trouble.
Well, right.
If it's not possible, then you're going to. I'll go to jail before I comply with an illegal search.
Okay, but no. Look, I understand that.
Stay out of trouble.
Thank you. That's all I'm saying is. There are ways around. There are ways to maintain your Fourth Amendment rights as a citizen without having to go to jail. Okay, that's all I'm saying. You don't have to be nasty. You don't have to,
you don't even have to talk to the people.
No. But I agree with you, and I agree with everyone. That's correct.
Yeah, and I understand that we got the call last week. I think it was a miscommunication between people because I understood where you were coming from, and it was just the misunderstanding of you coming off as saying, comply if it means you're going to have to go to jail, which wasn't the case. But
no, it's not the case.
You try to stay out of trouble. If you can't, you still don't violate your own moral code.
That's correct. Thank you.
And that's the position we are in.
That's right. Exactly. And look, it's only going to get worse. The harassment is only going to get worse. When you've got the State Department,
especially against Christians too.
Very much so. Christians are Jews and Christians. I'm sorry to say, Jews and Christians in this country right now are in the crosshairs of the federal government.
Did you see the article where they switched? Some hotels switched from putting the Bible in the drawers to a novel, some hotel chain. Did you see that today?
No.
I'm going to find the article.
Oh, come on. Okay. I don't even know what to say to that. But
it's like taking out a phone book and putting in a recipe book. I mean, I understand, it's just been a hallmark of it's something safe. You're traveling, you don't have your Bible. That was the most common book to read in America, as Americans were mostly Christians. And as society has changed, people are not religious. They're ungodly. They're selfish.
People don't know the history of the placement of the Gideon Bible in the Gideons and the Bibles. They don't understand the history behind that.
Damson Dane Hotel replaces Bible with 50 Shades of Grey. This is apparently a United Kingdom hotel.
Okay, well, there goes
London hotels.
They're not going to get in my business.
Yeah, all London hotels replace Bibles with 50 Shades of Grey.
Well, I can't see going to London anytime in my future or even distant future. But look, that's it.
People are commenting that book is a sexual book, a very sexual book.
Really?
And and somebody else said, watch the suicide rate skyrocket at those hotels. That's something interesting that we'll be paying attention to. And while you mentioned the Olympics in London, and you mentioned London, I had a caller, a listener, a friend of the show say we should, say a prayer on Friday, because that will be the 27th. The opening of the Olympics will be happening while we're on air, I think. So maybe we should open the show with a prayer.
I'm open to that, and certainly close it with a prayer. And look, we're in some dark times here, folks. Some really dark times, and I don't know what is going to take place at the Olympics, if anything. If this is just all a big, I don't know, just a big dog and pony show. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. I've been getting reports, by the way. I've gotten several emails of military movements of military equipment, and I spoke to our military source earlier today. I'm trying to find. I'm trying to find the email here. That call really kind of when I got that, I was like, holy cow! I just wanted to get the information. Apparently, something is up with military movements throughout the United States. Again, a listener sent me an email. Okay. I just want. Let me
forward that to me, because I think I have an email similar.
Well, here it is, Operation Aztec. It's Santa Fe, New Mexico. As part of an ongoing full-scale exercise codenamed Operation Aztec, state, local, and federal entities will conduct a series of activities next week to enhance and test coordinated response capabilities to widespread threats. While citizens in Las Cruces and other areas, Albuquerque, Roswell, and so on, they're going to see increased police and National Guard activity between July 23rd and 25th. Now, this obviously the date on this was July 18th, and we're at the 25th now, so this is pretty much over. But the email that I received about this was this from a listener in this person's area. Would have been on the 24th. National Guard vehicles and helicopters and uniforms that were solid dark blue, not green or desert camo or anything like that, but solid dark blue uniforms. This person was traveling on a street, was told it's safe to pass on through to this person's home. There were a lot of National Guard vehicles in the area. And that they were training. Now, again, you've got to ask yourself, why are they training? There's no reason, no practical reason for federal authorities to be training in American streets. Helicopters flying west-southwest towards a remote area. There was also a vehicle in another area, a local fire department, also painted dark blue with some kind of radar equipment on the back. And this person also heard of reports of military personnel on private property. Okay, now that's something that's a problem because, and this person goes on to say that when a homeowner went to approach someone on private property, some military personnel on private property, he was warned, you don't want to do that, sir. Okay, that's in quotation marks, and was told to get back to his house. The homeowner also reported large booms in the middle of the night in the same general direction the helicopters were flying the previous night on the 24th. So what now, I've got a problem with that. If I'm on my property and I come across somebody in a blue uniform, green, whatever uniform, and they say, get back in your house or, whatever. Okay, yeah. I've got a real problem with that. Yeah, then there's going to be a party here. But anyway, so this person is reporting a lot of increased military traffic through that area. Again, we're talking about the Santa Fe, New Mexico area, and dark blue vehicles, dark blue uniforms, and such, and a lot of federal, state, and local coordinated law enforcement tests and exercises in urban areas, which should not be. So take it as a dot, folks.
Yeah. Just amazing what we see. I want to not skip over what you were talking about here, but positive news. The House today passed Ron Paul's Audit the Fed bill. In a move that serves as a capstone to Representative Ron Paul's colorful career, the House on Wednesday voted to have Congress's chief investigators conduct a full audit of the Federal Reserve's shrouded decision-making process. Overwhelming 327 to 98 vote sends the measure to the Senate, where the Majority Leader Henry Reid at one time expressed support for an audit, though he repeatedly has changed his mind. But this is a small victory. It is too little, too late, and that's not the fault of Ron Paul, because he has brought many audit the Fed bills in front of the House before, or a few that I'm aware of at least. But as their charter is up...
I'm going to mail pink underwear to Bernanke.
As their charter is up, as their time is running out, as their devaluation of the dollar is almost completely complete, what good is an audit going to do? I mean, what good is an audit going to do on a company, the first ever audit of a company that's been around for almost 100 years, in its 99th year and 12th month when it's going bankrupt?
Well, look, it's going to serve a purpose to put them on notice, or it's going to serve some purpose. Perhaps it will shine some light if it's done via an independent agency. I like it how Bernanke says, well, we've been audited. These people say, well, the Fed's been audited. No, they haven't. No. I mean, look, it'd be like saying, well, yeah, we checked our books and everything is fine. No, it's you. It'd be like the IRS calling you up and saying, look, how's your company doing? Well, hey, everything's fine. We checked our books, everything balances out, and them saying, okay, fine, thanks. That's how it's been. Now they're going to have, an independent body go in there, hopefully, and find out the real truth of what's going on with the Federal Reserve. God bless Ron Paul for doing that. I'm glad, that it might be too little, too late, but at least it's something.
It is something. And as I feel that the Federal Reserve will have this not get through the Senate, and even if it did get through the Senate, the president wouldn't sign it, et cetera. These people are major criminals. The international banking elite are running this thing. The Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, the names we don't know, the behind-the-curtain puppet masters, they're the ones who are really running the show. They're the ones who are in control of the money. The few families at the top will never let the curtain be dropped from, the Wizard of Oz.
That's how
analogy.
True is that?
Yeah.
How true is that? And the other thing, one thing that bothers me too, is when people do get into this, when talk shows get into this, it seems like the world, the financial world, and the entire globalist system starts and finishes at George Soros. George Soros, I suppose in the scheme of things, I don't want to say he's a bit player, but maybe he is a bit player. I mean, he's not. Certainly, he doesn't. He's not at the end of the line.
No. He's probably a middleman. Definitely a couple notches above an Obama, but not up there with a Rothschild or a, one of the other families we don't have names on. But does it really matter at this point? We know we have a evil banking cabal bent on destroying our nation, working the agenda of Satan out perfectly as Satan plans, but at the same time, we have the Lord who has written down what is going to happen, who knows already the future that is held for us and the earth, and even these people, these international cabals. I was even typing in the chat room that I feel sorry for Obama. And I've said this before. Some days I do. It's like the guy is a puppet. He might have some Marxist, communist faith and blood in him that, drives him a little bit, but in the grand scheme of things, what has this guy got going for him in the long run? He's going to be hated. He's going to be, for what? And he could have, served the country with honor, tried to make things better. Maybe, obviously his life would have been in danger, but at least he could have done that, and that would have been a lot better than what legacy he has left for himself.
Well, he either lied on the campaign trail or lied at the. To me, the man lied, or maybe he had the best of intent, and then just when he got in, bang, he was told, okay, this is how it's going to be. But I cannot believe that anyone, the power brokers, would take that chance. You've got to be on board before. you've got to be selected before you're elected. So, I certainly don't feel bad for him. I don't have empathy or compassion. Compassion, human and Christian compassion, but I certainly don't feel sorry for the man or feel bad for the man. I think anytime you sell your soul to the devil I think that's part and parcel of the. It's part of it, but okay, but increased military. I just want to say this real quick, and then I'm going to turn it back over to you. But again, I'm getting various reports, additional reports of from the west, southwest to the northeast, additional federal troops and federal agencies and state agencies and local agencies working together on urban exercises, which is again uncalled for. There's no legitimate excuse for that, and it's heightened over the last several weeks. I've been getting emails in increasing frequency, especially the last 2 weeks. So
just like the checkpoints, no place for them, unconstitutional. Get them out of our country. It's coming to a close. The illusion of freedom that is left in America is coming to an end. We will not have this illusion of freedom forever. We will not have the free travel between house to house, block to block, state to state that we do now. We're already seeing the closings on the free interstate travel. We are seeing the true uprising of an evil spirit that is stamping out all Christianity in this country and across the globe. The church killings in Nigeria and different countries in Africa and South Africa that continue. The killing of Christians throughout the Middle East. The killing of all kinds of people throughout the world is evident of the times we live in, along with the natural disasters, signs in the stars, the waters, the heavens. That's why we need to stay safe. We need to pray. We always need to be covered in the armor of God. And we want to thank each and every one of you for listening tonight. It's been a great show. Hopefully you'll join us tomorrow, 8 to 10 Eastern Time. God bless you all.
And good night, folks.